I'm a teacher. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah. I've been working with kids since I was 15. Yeah, I've been working with kids for like 31 plus years. I've been working with kids for so long, like I wave to adults like this. You know, I'm like, hey, there's my friend Kente. I'm like, you want to go to recess together? And the biggest lesson that I've learned from all my years in school is that there's more important things to life than just school and grades. One year I was teaching 5th grade, and I was giving a math test, and one of my students was completely stressing out, like almost in tears. And I was like, Giovanna, would you just relax? Because you are putting way too much pressure on a paper that I'm just going to throw away. You know? I was like, did you give it your best? Well, then you got a B, you know? I'm like, you keep it up, B+. The sky's the limit. I taught Algebra 1 one year. That was pretty hard. It's pretty hard to teach Algebra 1 when you're not that good at Algebra 0. You know? I was like, could we start there? Part of my role was I had to go into the regular ed classrooms, and I had to support the special ed kids. Only thing is I didn't know what I was doing, you know, so I wasn't too much of a help. There was one kid who raised his hand for help, and then he saw me coming over, and he just waved me off, like. He was like, hey, I'm trying to pass this class, all right? I cannot afford to get another one wrong. I was like, all right, I get it. The thing about when you get older is you get mysterious ailments, you know, that you have no explanation for. You know, like at least in my early 20s or late teens, when I was limping around, I had a legitimate reason for it. You know, somebody would see me limping around, they'd ask me like, Dave, what happened to you? And I'm like, playing basketball. And now if I'm limping around and somebody's like, what happened to you? And I'm like, sleeping. You know? It's like I went to bed, I woke up, my ankle is the size of a balloon. I was like, I have no idea how this happened. You know, like I'm petrified to go to sleep tonight. You know, I don't know how I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. You know, I could tear my ACL overnight and it'll be over for me. Well, I've also been dealing with some health issues too. I found out that I have gout. I was diagnosed by my barber. When you have health insurance, your barber fulfills many roles, you know. I get a haircut and a physical every week. Yeah. Next Saturday, I have a colonoscopy scheduled, so. No, but Dr. Marv was absolutely correct with his diagnosis because I looked up all the symptoms of gout, and all of those matched. And then I looked up the food that causes gout, and I was like, oh, I eat all that. You know, cheeseburgers, gyros. I was like, I combine that together. You know, like I have gout plus. You know? So I've had to change my relationship with food. You know, I have to only eat with intention now. You know, I'm like the woman that only dates for purpose. You know, like I look at my food, I'm like, so where do you see us 5 years from now? You know? Because I don't just casually eat just for pleasure, you know. I'm like, what nutritional value are you bringing into my life, you know, for me to consider putting you into my mouth, you know? Because it's all delicious until you can't walk, you know. So it's hard giving up all the food that you love, though, and that you've been eating forever. Very hard. I like to test the limits with my body. I went on an ice cream date with this lady one time, and we went into the ice cream place, and I was just looking at my foot, and I'm like, you think we could do half a scoop? You know? What about one cookie? What about a cookie? Can we add cherries on top? Can we put, you know, how long before you stop working? Hey, you guys have been great. My name is Dave Getzoff. Thank you.